Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Conservative Corner. I'm Elliot Margolis, and I have as a guest today Micah Jones, who's running for the 6th Congressional District in Massachusetts for Congress, taking Seth Moulton's place. That's the good news. As long as somebody gets rid of Seth Moulton, we'll be better off in this district. Welcome, Micah.
Thank you so much, Elliot, for having me on, and great to have met you. Really appreciate the invitation.
I'll tell you, I look at Congress today, and I get pretty cranky.
Me too.
Okay? They don't do, they break the laws. Congress makes laws, and then they say, gee, I don't like this, so I don't have to do it, but you do. It gets me cranky. So how can we get some trust into Congress? And for instance, you've got Congress people, men and women, who go into Congress middle class, and within the first couple of years, they're up in this class.
Yes.
What can we do to trust them?
Yep. So thank you again, Elliot, for having me on, and really encourage the viewers, folks watching at home, to please go to my website, micahqjones.com, because a lot of what I'm about to talk about is I really lay it out there on my issues page. My campaign is based on 3 core principles: accountability for members of Congress, opportunity for the greater communities of the North Shore and Merrimack Valley that make up the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District, and security for our nation. So beginning with the accountability principle, as you and I were talking before we started the cameras rolling, this is something that is one of the big reasons I want to be involved in this moment. For the people who don't know about me, I'm happy to share more about my background. I was a U.S. Army veteran I served over 5 years in the U.S. Army, left as a junior captain, and then after service, went and attended law school at Northeastern. And after graduating law school, I practiced at Morgan Lewis, which is an international law firm in their Boston office, but specifically their securities enforcement litigation practice. And so I was representing broker-dealer clients, generally helping them navigate investigations from the Securities Exchange Commission, as well as helping them in generally arbitrations against potentially generally very wealthy individual donors. But I bring that up because for me, and as you highlight, the thing that is most egregious to me is that members of Congress are still allowed to trade individual stocks, which is something that I believe is a bipartisan issue and should absolutely cease occurring immediately. And I think I feel so strongly about it is that the standard I was held to at my law firm was that I was prevented from trading a single individual stock, and not only myself, my wife too. We were not allowed to trade any individual stocks, and we could only trade exchange-traded funds and mutual funds. And the fact that members of Congress are not held to that same exact standard, and they are clearly trading on insider information that we, the American people, are not privy to, is absolutely egregious. And so even though we've had some acts percolating in Congress, like the Stock Act, in my opinion, they don't go far enough. And those members of Congress, if they want to have those outsized returns, they should leave Congress, they should go open a hedge fund in New York, but they absolutely should not be allowed to use that insider information to become wealthy. And so I really encourage the folks watching at home to check out the Unusual Whales account on Twitter, now X. It makes me laugh. It's just so bad. It's comical, and just it shows the outsized returns that members of Congress from both parties, it's a bipartisan issue, are making, and it lists them by name. It shows how much they've profited. And to me, it's absolutely something that needs to stop.
Okay, another thing that gets me cranky with Congress is they're afraid to solve problems.
Yes.
It's like they look at an issue and they say, gee, we got to do this, but they don't do it. And the reason, my opinion, that they don't do it is if they make a decision, some people aren't going to like it.
Yes.
And if they don't like it, maybe they're not going to vote for them and they won't get reelected.
Yes.
And I consider that a real problem. So my own personal point of view is the way to solve that problem is to have term limits.
I could not agree more. And I, again, encourage the viewers to check out my website. We had a press release. But I actually signed a term limits pledge. So to be clear, I have not yet served, But the pledge I signed, I would limit myself to no more than 3 terms in Congress. And I'm somebody who thinks, and you can find compromise, but what I've proposed in the pledge that I signed, which I would agree to, would that be members of the House only serve a maximum of 3 terms, members of the Senate serve a maximum of 2 terms. I am somebody who very much believes in the Cincinnatus view of government, the George Washington view of government, and that people should serve. They should dedicate their full energy. They should have make sure that they're bringing that creativity and innovation to our legislative bodies to make the country a better place. And then once they've served, they should be happy to go back to the civilian world and enjoy their life. I do not believe that Congress is a place for people to take an extended retirement, an extended vacation, and I'm somebody who would love to serve now while I'm young, while I have skin in the game. My wife and I, we have a young family, we have a mortgage. Like, we feel the weight, we feel the impacts of everything from the federal, state, local level, which is why I want to be involved in this moment, because I want to make sure that my kids have the best future to grow up in, that they're growing up in the best district possible. So it's like, this is the time for me to serve. But I absolutely do not want to be serving when in Congress, when my kids are, older, when we have a ton of activities, and I also, when, if I were to continue, it's like I would not want to be serving when I have grandchildren, like I know many members of Congress do. So for me, it's something that I believe in service, but I also believe in letting other people serve as well.
Okay, good. That's nice. But now, another thing. See, I get cranky a lot. Okay, why is it that Congress doesn't have to follow the laws that they make? Mm-hmm. In other words, like, let's just take the illegal situation, for instance. People come here illegally. What part? Now, a lot of people in Congress are lawyers. What part of the word illegal don't they understand, mm-hmm. number one? Number two is, how much is it costing each individual taxpayer to pay for room and board and everything that these illegals are doing that we have to pay for?
Mm-hmm. No, so I think with members of Congress, I think my biggest critique, and this is whether it's about immigration or other issues, is that Congress as an entity has really become a vestigial organ. I heard that on a podcast. I didn't make that, like, in regards to I like that phrasing, but it's the issue that Congress, and this is again a bipartisan issue, really since the 70s, has consistently delegated what should be congressional responsibility and authority to the executive branch, to the point where it's yes, Congress will give an outline to an executive branch agency, but then they allow the executive branch agency to just fill it in with however they choose to do. And so the executive branch agency is going to be enforcing particular regulations, which are not the same as the statute codified into law, but they have the weight of a law because it's the regulation that's in charge of a particular industry. And I bring this up in that, and I felt it firsthand in my law practice, in that I personally believe that many of these executive agencies have gone beyond the purview of Congress. They are promulgating rules, regulations that make it difficult for that particular industry to engage in the activity. But I bring that up in that, whether it's immigration or another issue, Congress needs to step up and, to quote our former coach, do its job, and to really reassert its constitutional authority of engaging in deliberative debate. One, enforcing laws, you say, or two, enforcing laws, you say, and three, making sure that that it is a process in which both the House and the Senate are voting on the bill that then goes to the president, and not just allowing everything to go to an executive agency to be done in a more expeditious fashion. They need to reassert constitutional authority over their delineated tasks.
Okay, now one of the things that we're hearing a lot of is the cost of health care.
Yes.
Okay, and it is expensive, there's no question about it. But Congress has a great health care plan for the rest of their lives.
Well, they also get a pension at 5 years.
Well,
yeah, we'll get to that.
I was going to get to that.
Sorry, yeah.
So, shouldn't Congress have the same health care as we do? Number one, okay? Number two, shouldn't Congress be in the Social Security system instead of having, 5 years and then they get the keep all their money for the rest of their life type of a thing. I mean, why is it that there are laws for Congress and laws for people? I mean, Congress is people.
Yes.
I mean,
I think I agree. I mean, the first thing is that Congress votes on the laws that govern all of us, and that they also set the standards for. They get to set their own pay scale. They get to set when that pension is. They get to set what kind of health care they get. I think it is something where, and this is great, where you have shows like yours where you are educating the viewers. But I think people just don't. I think so many people are disattached with their representative and the government that we have at the federal and state level. I think a lot of people don't understand federalism at a fundamental level either, and people are busy with their lives. And so I think it's something that we collectively as the voters aren't doing enough to start the conversation to encourage our members of Congress to behave in a way that they should and be held to the same standard that we are. And so I think that a big part of my campaign in highlighting the accountability for members of Congress is that I saw, both as a soldier and as a member of the private sector, as an attorney, just I've been held to these very high standards, and the fact that somebody who is making the rules that's going to guide our daily life is not held to the same standard is something that I feel strongly about. And so whether or not I can effectuate it as a junior congressman, I'm not naive to that. It's more about starting the conversation, having the debate, and encouraging that change in direction that I'd like to see improve.
what I see happening in Congress now, again, it gets me cranky, but they're used to it. It's party over people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Chuckles Schumer, he condemned President Trump for not getting Maduro during his first term. Now he's condemning Trump for getting Maduro on his second term. Years ago, he was in favor of never shutting down the government. Now he's shutting down the government.
Yeah.
And the reason, it's because he doesn't like President Trump. Mm-hmm. So if Trump says, gee, what a beautiful day today is, he's going to say, look at all the clouds in the sky. I mean, when are we going to get back to working for the people?
Yes. So that's something that I feel very strongly about, and I admire. I really admire those politicians who I think are working on behalf of their constituency, even if it doesn't make them popular. I think the best example right now is Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. He is taking a lot of flack from the Democratic Party, but he is clearly a man of principle. He clearly understands what he thinks is best for the people of Pennsylvania as well as the country. And I very much admire the strength and courage that he has, because he is really the one Democrat who's being willing at this time to really be vocally clear on where he stands in regards to what he thinks is a good thing that the rest of his party does not as much. So I think that for me, in representing the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District, I want to work across the aisle as much as possible to do whatever is best for the communities that make up the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a whole. I'm somebody personally, having lived here, or since being a taxpayer here, I think the Commonwealth suffers significantly when you have an entire congressional delegation that's represented by only one party that's not willing to work across the aisle or work with an administration that they may disagree with. And I really think that even if I can be the only Republican as that delegation, I would work to not only help the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District, but the entire Commonwealth, because I think it is about, and that's something where it's not about party, it is about what's best for the district and how can we make the district and Massachusetts the best place to raise a family, start a business, and build a life. And I feel very strongly about that.
Just to digress for a second, because Seth Moulton, when you talked about Fetterman.
Yes.
Okay. Seth Moulton came out and said that he does not want boys in girls' sports because he needs to protect his daughters. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then he goes and he votes for the party allowing boys to play in girls' sports.
Yes.
So he sold out his daughters. He's an example of party over people.
Yes.
And that I had so much hope for him over when he finally beat John Tierney.
Yes.
And I'm very disappointed in him. I could never vote for him again.
Yes, and to be clear, and just so for the folks watching at home, I will not be running against Seth Moulton, because Seth Moulton, of course, is primarying Senator Markey.
Right.
So I'm very, very glad that he's decided to vacate the seat, and I actually don't know which Democratic candidate I'll be running against. The Democrats, there are 7 Democrats who have currently entered their primary. I imagine it's going to be quite contentious. But they're going to be in a primary until September, and then in September I'll find out who I'm running against. But yes, yeah. To be clear, just want to make sure that the audience realizes I'm not going to be running against Seth Moulton unless he decides to jump back into this race.
No, I don't see that happening. But one of the things that bothers me about government closures,
Yes.
Congress still gets paid.
Yes, and that is, again, if I sound exact, I feel this very strongly. I have a number of friends who are still active duty military, and generally the military has been protected. But I don't think people realize that right now DHS is actually shut down, and you have members of the Coast Guard not getting paid. You have members of FEMA not getting paid. Critical agencies that keep the United States safe, that keep us secure, they're not being paid. And I think it is absolutely egregious that members of Congress would pull a paycheck before any American citizen would. In the Army, as an officer, I always ate last. I made sure my men had food and resources before I ever, I had what was left over. And that's the same, and I know you were a businessman, it's the same thing. If you own a business, you're making sure your employees get paid first, you're making sure you can cover the overhead, and members of Congress should be held to that same standard. They should be treated like partners at a law firm. They should be the last ones to receive payment, and once everything else is taken care of.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me also, not as much, but still, you've got these people not working and not getting paid, but then once the government decides, yeah, maybe it's time to, to solve this problem, they get all their back pay. So we have been paying people for doing nothing, which arguably sometimes that happens anyhow. That's why we had Doge.
Yeah.
But it's just the hypocrisy that I see in Congress drives me nuts.
Yes, but I think, again, as we kind of keep coming back to, it really is up to us as the voters, and I hope to be that candidate to, especially with the experience that I had, which is not one based in politics. This is the first time I've run for elected office, but I feel very strongly that I have the experience both from the military leadership experience as well as the practical regulatory experience in my law practice to be able to contribute at a high level day one, but to also take that experience and make sure that I am trying to fix these problems and push back against this hypocrisy that we're seeing, and certainly not contribute to it. And I really want to hold myself to that standard. I know my wife's going to hold me to that standard, and I'll hold myself to that standard.
And I'll tell you what, I'll hold you to that
hold it
standard too.
But I feel very strongly about that.
What I don't understand now is that people are against ICE.
Mm-hmm.
Number of congressmen are against ICE. I don't get it. We have laws. We have people that are supposed to enforce the laws. How can congressmen be opposed to enforcing the laws? And the next question would be, if they don't have to enforce the law, why do I? Okay, why do I have to stop at a red light? Why can't I rob a bank? I mean, it seems like we're supposed to be a country of laws, but we're not.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I think with immigration and again any other issue, if Congress has an issue with the law, then they are the legislative body that needs to deliberate and change that law and engage in the correct procedural process to amend a law that they may disagree with. And they absolutely should be the ones who are enforcing the law at all times. And as you said earlier, most members of Congress are attorneys, and so they should know better with that. I think too, it goes back to the delegation of responsibility to the executive branch, and that is something that I very much disagree with. And so whether it is immigration, whether it is healthcare, whether it is the stock trading, everything we've touched on so far in this episode, Congress, again, needs to legislate. They need to debate. They cannot sequester themselves into their silos. The whole point of that deliberative body is to deliberate and to engage in constructive conversation with the other side, with people they disagree with, and try to find compromise that works. But then if they have the majority for a particular bill, then they need to make sure they pass that and then enforce it. So I feel, and I talk generally, but it's like I feel very strongly about that too, that it's like it's up to Congress. Doesn't have anybody to complain to because the buck stops with them in regards to doing it.
Right.
And
Well,
then if they really disagree with if they pass a bill and the president vetoes it, well, then they can override that if they have the number of votes. So again, it's up to Congress to make that impact that they want to see, and they should not just complain about something and not do anything about it.
Okay, that's now voter ID.
Yes.
I mean, when I go to vote, I show my ID.
Yep.
And they say, "Oh, you don't have to show your ID." I says, "Okay, I'm this guy over here." They don't even know me, so they can just put me down as John Smith.
Yes.
You know, and as long as I can see the list and it hasn't been checked off, so I could get away with that. People do that. I hear people saying, well, voter fraud isn't really that significant. Well, I don't care how significant it is, it's wrong. I'm assuming you're in favor of voter ID.
I am. I think that we are in yes, I am. Full stop. I think we live in a world and society in which you can't rent a car, can't rent a hotel room, can't even purchase alcohol or do any myriad of daily tasks without having an ID. And even if it's not a driver's license, an individual can still have a form of government ID. With that doesn't necessarily mean it's a driver's license at all. So there are still ways of identification. I support voter ID. I think it's an 80-20 issue that the vast majority of the country supports as well. And it is something that I believe is an issue that we should have, or it is a law that we should have here in the United States. And the fact that many other countries around the world also have voter ID, and I think many of the countries that people claim are more progressive, they have voter ID, particularly in Europe.
Well, a couple things. Number one, the word progressive is wrong.
Yes.
It's regressive.
Yes, that's a separate conversation. I use that as an example that I know in many times people look to Europe as like, well, what are they doing over there? It's like, well, Europe has voter ID, and I think it's a good thing to have here too.
Yeah, it just, to me, makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
The border.
Yes.
We finally have one now. There was 4 years where we had no border.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that.
Yes.
And from my perspective, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that destroyed our educational system because we have so many people coming in speaking other languages, going to our schools. We needed to hire people to be interpreters, and some of the brighter kids didn't have as much instruction that they could have used.
Yes.
And the quality of our education went down significantly. And I'm not saying we shouldn't let immigrants in. For the past 30 years, there's been talk that, gee, we need to change the immigration laws, but Congress doesn't do it.
Yes.
So would you, as a congressman, work to change the immigration laws to let more people in? We're not opposed to immigration.
Yes.
We got to know who they are.
So yes, to answer your question, I very much believe in border security. I also have been personally involved in having to navigate the immigration process. So my practice, as I highlighted as an attorney, is the financial industry space. But my pro bono practice was in the veterans advocacy space. And that actually occasionally went broader, in that I did work on a case. Your viewers can look it up, got national attention, but I did help an Afghan colleague who I had worked with when I was deployed in Afghanistan for a year, help him and his family successfully immigrate to the U.S. He went through all of the necessary vetting, and it was extremely long. It was a 2-year process after the debacle that was the fall of Afghanistan. It's a separate episode to talk about that. But I saw firsthand how difficult it was for somebody to legally immigrate here, and I was advocating for him. I had the resources of my law firm to do it right. And to his credit, he did it right, and his family has come here. He had helped U.S. service members overseas, and he is now a contributing member of society, and he has his green card. But I saw how difficult that was, and it is absolutely something where Congress talks a big game, but they need to actually do something. A nation is not a sovereign nation without borders, and we need to maintain that. I can't speak as well, not as familiar with the educational statistics that you're bringing up, but from a security perspective, somebody who's very worried that the number of people who came illegally across the border, we don't know many of those people. Most of them did not receive background checks. We don't know in regards to potential terrorist activity, and something that very much worries me from a security perspective of not having an idea of who actually came in. And that's very worrisome as somebody who cares deeply about American national security, who served overseas. I worry about that greatly.
Okay, there's not much time left in this show.
Oh man, flew by, Elliot.
And I want to give you a chance to just talk to the people and say, this is who I am, and vote for me. But one other issue that I want to address is child care costs.
Yes.
Because child care costs for the average person is outrageous.
So thank you for that. So I feel it directly. My wife works full time. I left my law practice to run for Congress, but working full time. We have 2 children who are in childcare, or who are in preschool, and so we feel it directly. It's one of our largest costs, and for the viewers, Massachusetts is the most expensive state for childcare costs in the union, or if not one of the most. And so something that I would really like to see at the federal level, especially for working families and young families, I'm somebody who believes that families are our future of the country, I would like to see a child care tax credit for working families, and we could also apply that to people who stay at home and they're spending costs on their children as well. But I think if you could write off, if families could write off at the federal level the amount that they're spending on child care, that would significantly reduce the cost overall, allow more families to stay in Massachusetts, allow people to build their lives here, and that's going to make not only the Commonwealth the district a better place, the Commonwealth a better place, but I think they'll make the country a better place. And I think that something that I saw I think that the tax code, I really believe in the tax code in trying to incentivize the goals that we have as a country, and I think support for families is something that the tax code could really benefit, particularly for working families, working parents, and children. So that's how I've approached that. It's something that's a big part of my platform, and appreciate the question.
Okay, we actually have just
20 seconds
left, so,
sorry, I talked a long time.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is Micah Jones running for Congress in our district, and you learned a lot about him now, but I think what we're going to do is do another show and talk about foreign policy in the other show. So thank you for watching. Don't forget Micah Jones.